All right, so that's our first area of concern. Now let's talk about renewability.
Okay.
And when we talk about that, understand the state of Texas has come out and talked about the differences because there are different types of Medicare supplement policies that seniors can get involved with. Let me show you what I mean there. Here's an article right from the Texas Department of Insurance's website. And what it talks about right here is renewability.
Mm-hmm.
And it says all Medigap policies are guaranteed renewable. A company cannot cancel your policy or refuse to renew it unless you made intentional false statements on your application or you failed to pay the premium. So it's talking about the renewability. They can't just take it away from you. But then they come down here and they talk about group Medicare supplement insurance. And it says your rights with a group Medigap policy are essentially the same as with an individual policy. But you're going to notice they're talking about two different types,
Right.
Groups versus individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the best way for me to explain that to you is this. When you are a senior, you buy a policy directly from an insurance company. You're dealing directly with an insurance company. You've got the insurance company right here.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they sell a policy. I'll just put a P there for that, directly to a senior.
Yes.
And so what the state of Texas is saying is, as long as you're the policy holder, as long as you're the one in control, you make all the decisions whether that policy stays in force or not.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a group policy, the way it works is you've got an insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they sell a master policy to the group. And then the group is going to turn around and what they're going to do is they're going to offer certificates of coverage
Mm-hmm.
directly to a senior.
Okay.
Now remember, just like this here, the policy holder on an individual policy, which is the senior, makes all the decisions because they're the policy holder.
Mm-hmm.
In a group policy, this is your policy holder. It's the group. So if the group decides to make changes to the policy or if the group decides to cancel that policy altogether, then what happens is automatically all of those certificates are canceled.
Now, do they offer group policies because it costs less?
Not necessarily. It just depends on the type of insurance company that's offering the policies. And so as a senior, you actually get some additional built-in protections. And it goes through and talks about those protections, but this is the one that kind of concerns me. It says right here, it says, if the group cancels its coverage, the insurance company must offer you either an individual policy with the benefits you had with the canceled policy or offer you a different policy that meets the requirements of the state. So in essence, all the state's saying is if you're in a group policy and the group cancels, they have to offer you either something that's the same or something that's different. Obviously a huge concern,
Yeah,
right? So if I were to show an example of this, because I always let people know, don't trust me on this type of stuff. Take a look at what we found when we're doing our research. A very popular insurance company, I think everybody has heard of them.
Yep.
And you're going to notice right here it talks about guaranteed renewable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about as far as most seniors are going to go ahead and read.
Probably.
Okay? But if you continue to read on, it talks about continuing your coverage. It says this coverage is guaranteed renewable, which means that it cannot be canceled except for non-payment of premium, termination of the group policy, or material misrepresentation. See how when we read on, we find
Yes.
out more information about the policy. And then you continue to read a little bit further, and it even comes down here. It says, if the group policy terminates, you will be offered coverage through another insurance carrier or an individual conversion policy issued by this company. But they don't talk about what type of policy that is or what it's going to cover, what it's going to... So when we look at this, can you see how that's a huge concern?
Yes.
Now, it's not just, though, you have to understand, it's not just this company here. There are others as well. If we turn this over, you've heard of this insurance
I
company.
have.
It's the insurance company that I thought every insurance company grew up to want to be like.
Right.
And this is what they say. It says, we look forward to a long relationship with our clients. The following pages describes reasons as to why your coverage may end. And then they start listing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different items. And if you looked at they couldn't cancel you, and now all of a sudden they're giving you a bunch of different reasons that they can. But
yeah.
this is the one that concerns me. It says we may terminate, cancel, or decline to renew this agreement when required to effectuate the purposes of the Knox-Keene Health Care Service Plan Act of 1975. Obviously, they make it really clear and really easy to understand. It took me a long time to research and figure out what that was.
What does that mean?
Okay, you know, but anytime an insurance company has wording in their policies that says that type of stuff, you can see why that becomes a concern. All of a sudden, seniors get letters like this in the mail. Okay, it says right here, it says, we, as your insurance company, will no longer offer this program to people with Medicare in the following counties. And they start listing off county after county after county after county, even here in the state of Texas. This means you will have to make some decisions about your health care coverage.
My
So,
goodness.
as a senior, you're sitting in your house, you're not doing really well, you're going through medical treatments, and all of a sudden a letter like this shows up in the mail. That becomes a huge concern, especially when you start to think about the fact that maybe we don't have the ability to qualify anymore to get anything.
That's what I was going to say. If you're sick, you're done.
Absolutely. So when I go back to our little list here, can you see why this becomes a huge concern?
Yes.
So when it comes to the renewability, okay, if this is the type of coverage that you have, why is it that that's a concern? Why has that become a concern for you?
Well, because I'm not in control. I don't know what's going to happen to my insurance.
So we're going to go ahead and put an X up there
Yeah.
because obviously the changes are having an effect on you.
Sure.
Do you understand why, when we come back to the excess charges that we talked about, why
Yeah.
I said that was the least of your concerns?
Yes.
Okay. Because when we come back here into the Medicare book and we look at your actual plan type, you're going to notice that the Plan F coverage, okay, it's got 100% all the way down that list.
Yes.
And I think most seniors are going to look at that and say, that's all I need
That's
to
cool,
worry about. But obviously there are some other areas. So what I'm going to tell you is, even based on 100% here, okay, never let anybody talk you into anything but a Plan F type coverage. Okay? So when I come back to our list, our areas of concern right here.
So are all the supplemental companies able to offer this, though? I mean, that's
It's their choice whether they offer it or not.
okay.
Most
could.
insurance companies will offer something along those lines, and they all have to at least cover the basic benefits.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll talk about that a little more in just a minute.
Okay.
But even for somebody that's in a Plan F coverage, I'm going to go ahead and consider that a full coverage program. But my concern comes down to the fact if the company is not the type of company that we thought they were because of the way that they deal with, you know, their basic business philosophy. And because it's a group policy, it's a conditionally renewable plan, they can decide whether they want to continue it or not. Regardless of what coverage it is. Do you think that's the best place for you for the rest of your life?
No,
Why?
because.
Okay, because obviously it doesn't matter what coverage you have if they can take it away, right?
No, as long as you're vulnerable,
So-
obviously.
We're going to put up an X there, and you can understand why I don't see a whole lot more risk out there than that.
Right, right.
So my job, just so you know, is not only to take and show you where you're at, because I think we've done that. We've done a good job going through and educating you where you're at, but it's also to tell you how you can fix it if you can qualify.